Mr. Parker, are you available to speak for us now? Did you breathe?
Not really.
I've invited Darren Parker from the commission that collects hate crimes and bullying statistics for the Valley to let us know what is the current status of the bullying in the Valley. And I understand you have some information for us. And thank you for making that drive from LA just to slip into our agenda.
Thank you for the great law enforcement that didn't see me slip through those, get up here so quickly.
We're not that important.
Yes, we must be. You must have had the spirit over me. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission and staff. It's a privilege and an honor to be here, and thank you for inviting me to share some information. So quickly, let me get into what we know candidly about bullying here in the Antelope Valley. Over the last couple of years, you've actually seen a magnificent model being created here in the Antelope Valley with the support of especially the city of Lancaster with the bullying program that was started out at Del Sur Elementary School. And that came about after doing a youth summit. The Human Relations Commission does youth summits. And in one of the youth summits, the students got together and created what they thought was the most significant issue that needed to be addressed in our community, which was bullying. At the same time, unknowing to them, the Human Relations Commission was starting to look at bullying at the level in which we look at issues, because we find out that bullying becomes part of that cycle that creates hate because of the fear of the unknown. And basically that's what it is a fear of the unknown, and that what we fear we tend to dislike severely. And so in trying to re-educate or educate our community as they grow, we found out that this was a key element that was happening as far back as any of us could remember. I've been here 52 years, so we know that bullying has been going on much longer than that, but it was an issue that wasn't really talked about. But as the Antelope Valley started to come together to talk about this issue, what you've seen is a more global presence or a national presence on that. They're looking at the schools and they're looking at items of bullying. So first of all, I'd like to congratulate this community, this council, and this city for supporting that effort of the students when they saw the program first come here and be sampled here at the City of Lancaster City Council meeting. But bullying exists. It exists in many different forms. One of the latest issues that we're dealing with or getting reports about is something called the slapping game. And it is in the middle school and the high school areas where kids slap each other. And we found severe injuries to be happening to children. And sometimes people are willing participants, sometimes they're not willing participants, but we found that even if you go on YouTube now, that there are quite a number of videos that show you depictions of this new form of what we think is a part of bullying, which is called the slapping game. Again, we are fortunate here in the Antelope Valley that we have a high awareness, but we know by the data that we've been collecting over the last couple of years that not many schools report it. It is something that when it seems to be an isolated incident, much like hate crimes, where they're considered an isolated incident until all of a sudden you get a couple of people in the same room and you find out that it's common amongst all of us. So here in the Antelope Valley, I think that we're doing much better than most communities. As a matter of fact, this community has been looked at already, not only from state and national elected officials, but even the White House, on what we are doing, as we did with hate crimes, to address those things collectively as a community. So the support is very important from the commission on this, that we raise the awareness in our local areas, in our schools, our high schools, about the bullying issue, because with that we start that change in education and behavior. And as we got into this cycle one day at a time, sometime in the very near future, one day at a time, we will get out of that same cycle. So you have questions for me, or is that okay?
I do have questions. Thank you. That was a brilliant evaluation, and I happen to agree with you. And I unfortunately think that it links right into our cycle of domestic violence that is generational. However, I'm a little concerned that the unreportedness of the slapping game may taint some of the collection of data. From whom are you currently getting reports, and can you give us any idea in numbers?
Right now, I have 3 cases that are active that are out of the East Side School District with different levels of excuse me, at Eastside High, not Eastside School District, Eastside High. I'm sorry. Okay, let me clear that up. Eastside High School, which would be the high school district. So I apologize to all of my family and friends on the East Side. We've had 3 incidents right now at different levels involving boys on boys and boys and girls, and different levels of discipline and or behavior modification have come from each. And so we know that once we started to hear, we started to ask around and do some more investigation, and we're hearing that some students, that this happens willingly and unwillingly. So we know that it is something that's happening here in the Antelope Valley, and again, I think I was amazed and appalled when I went to YouTube and put in the slapping game and found as much information as I saw depicting from the very simple level, acting like you're slapping someone, to actually hitting people. And like I said, the one young lady ended up with severe bruises on her arms and legs, and the consequences to other than this incident, really good students, was terrible. But again, it has to be addressed on a case-by-case basis because it's not being talked to or talked at in a broad basis.
I have a question.
Yes,
Are
ma'am.
we going to get the movie Bully up here for our students to see?
You know, I haven't been a part of that effort, but it's something that I might look into. We're looking to try to do, as we're looking to try to bring the Tuskegee Airmen up here to the base to do something right here in the Antelope Valley. We always try to look down below to those tools that are most instrumental. The tolerance program that the Sheriff's Department runs is one of the things that we're doing, so I'll look into that if you would like me to.
I think that would be very helpful. From the first phone call that you get, what is it that you're able to do to launch the advocacy to stop the bullying incident?
Well, that's an intricate question, because it's...
You are an intricate man, Mr. Parker.
It starts, you know, almost on a case-by-case basis. Like I said, the education that we're trying to now initiate, we've talked about because of incidents that we've heard reported. Now that we have actual incidents on the desk, you can look into the elements that go into that particular case to see where we could have better educated, been more aware of these type of incidents in the time in which they happen during our school day. So there's no blanket generic answer to how do you fix this yet, because we're hearing that about it in different levels. We had some, like I said, there were a young lady and young men playing this game, 2 of each, and the young ladies initiated the game. And another incident, we had 2 young men where they initiated, and it was common, and they included others that may not have wanted to be part of this, but they just happened to be in the general vicinity. It happens near or on our campuses. A couple of them happen in front of the school while waiting for transportation to go home. Some have actually happened on the campus. But I think as we talk to the different boards and we bring this to their attention, we have meetings like this where we can bring that out to the public and we have more support, then you become more sensitive, just like we became so sensitive about hate crimes and hate incidents here in the Valley.
I have a question. So is there a number, say that if teenagers were subjected to this and they just wanted to talk to someone about it, but not really report it, but, you know, are having problems with it happening to them or seeing or being affected at the campus or seeing it happen to others, is there a number that a student could call or to report or anything like that?
I'm not aware of a broad teen-based hotline number like that. I know that through the schools and the counselors that they take those reports. The reports that I get, unfortunately, have come because something else has happened along with the incident. And so you have to weed through to get to what was the trigger here. And the trigger, as I see it at this point, is we need to educate our children that it's not okay to play the slapping game. So, so like I said, I think we use our school district at this point, though. Yes, sir.
Mr. Parker, thank you for all you do. I was wondering, do you find that most students are aware of the harassment policies in the school, including sexual harassment policies that should normally protect them? Because I was recently with a group, a newfound task force, the Child Sexual Safety Task Force, and that's their aim, to go in and find out what the harassment policies are in the school and help educate the children, because a lot of times these kids don't know that there are such policies and that they have rights not to participate. So have you thought any about that, or?
At the high school level, I think our students here, unlike other communities, have a clearer appreciation. Not that they grasp it totally, but I think that they have a clear appreciation. But I think what would be most useful here would be that we start to educate our teaching staff, our administrative staff, those people around the student that should lead by example. I think that we have not invested the proper amount into that in order to get the effect that we really want to have. So I think that having that message and having it on paper is great, but if you're not preaching to the choir, we haven't reached our full effectiveness.
May I just say into that, I know a child that was bullied off school participation, and the adult allowed it to happen. I don't understand how that is okay, and how in this day and age you know something like that is going on and you allow the person to be not a part of a school function instead of addressing the bullying issue and stopping it.
Again, it's a thin line.
I mean, I'm totally agreeing. It started with the adult professional at the top not stopping it and not addressing it and not allowing this child to participate.
We've had a student, actually, 2 students didn't get to attend their graduation ceremony because of the slapping game. And you can't replace that. And so in looking into that incident, clearly, both the young men and ladies should have been more responsible, clearly. But the consequences thereof can never be rectified. So, again, like I said, as we learn more about this and try to educate, it's hearing stories like that, as we did with hate crimes and hate incidents, made it be on your conscience to look into maybe doing a little bit more, maybe investing a little bit more, maybe having some more public gatherings like this that create that atmosphere that you get to see something that looks different than you do.
Mr. Parker, I know that you're talking about changing things at a policy level, and obviously we can look and see if there's anything we can do to contribute at that level. But I'm wondering if your group does one-on-one advocacy. What happens once your phone rings? Does someone take a report and then chase it down, or do you call the sheriffs, or what happens?
All of the above. All of the above. We interact with the school district, the sheriff's department, as well as refer the victims to one of our resource members for counseling, and sometimes it's even going to hearings with the parents. Right. I'm pretty sure most school districts have seen me numerous times because of situations that come, so we can actually weed through what happened, what was the trigger, and how do we positively move forward regardless of the consequence. So we do all of the above when those issues come to us on a case-by-case.
Question that I have, and you touched on it as far as professional development for staff. Do you have resources that you could steer us to in terms of being proactive?
The Museum of Tolerance is a great place. It is huge with resources, especially as it goes with educators. The State Department of Education also. We have a relationship with our new superintendent of the state. I would be honored to help in any way, shape, or possible in addressing those things that the state has to offer, because that's part of the program of the state and one of his high priorities.
Thank you.
But directly, the Museum of Tolerance would be a great resource for here.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Madam Commissioner.
Mr. Parker, I'm so glad you're here. It's very kind of you to show up after driving all that way and a long day.
Thank you.
I think you have a good handle on this, and bullying is a buzzword. It's a popular buzzword, and yet I still don't think people get it. And I don't think people get it because they don't see themselves. And it starts with adults, and I think adults are the worst bulliers. They are. And where do the kids learn it? They learn it from the adults. I watch adults bully, and they do it in this community. It's unfortunate, and it's the belief that they're right and everybody else is wrong, and therefore it's okay to call people names, even as adults, in our newspaper or wherever. again, people know that bullying is a big deal. They see it in the schools. Kids maybe do or don't recognize themselves. They have not understood the parameters of what bullying really is, but because we as adults don't understand it either. Do you have a handle on that? Do you see anything with adult bullying? I think it's a big deal. I watch it. I see adults that bully their children, and they bully other adults as well, and the kids are learning this behavior from somewhere.
Right. Well,
And
no, I don't have the big handle. I wish that, like that in picking numbers for the lotto, I could do that very often, but I haven't been able to do that yet. But, what we've learned over the time of working in at least this community, that we do have a shot at the younger.
Okay.
Children. We do have the opportunity to change behavior or give them choices. When people have choices, they tend to make intelligent decisions. And so as we give them choices, as we offer resources, I've seen that in this community, collectively, we've been able to make change. I can't speak for the global situation, but again, it does start with adults. But when just like with hate crimes, when we had the Ku Klux Klan come to our commission meeting, and we sat across, and it was the grandfather, the father, the wife, the son, and the child, the toddler in combat boots and the whole getup. And they, told us very plainly that, this is taught behavior. It takes a long time to teach hate, and they start very young. We found out in working with our youth, why we started doing the teen summits and the youth summits, that once we start to give them choices, even though they had lived in that environment, more times than not, they made a better choice. So not that any of us have the power to make that change other than the Almighty. What we can do here is educate and continue to educate and give our children resources. My 7-year-old will tell you you can tell me what to do, but this is my body. And having all those women in my house, she's probably right. So at least I make her feel that way all the time. But no, there's no one glove fits all type of scenario. There's no way that you're going to change grown folks. I've learned that very early in working in the community. And I'll tell people in a heartbeat, that's grown folk business, because that's not fixable. But giving our children an opportunity and choices makes a difference in their lives and then subsequently in our lives.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Parker, I just want to thank you for the effort that you do. I myself, being an immigrant from another country, having come to the States at a very early age, I was subject to bullying, so you can imagine how it feels ending up inside a trash can and a lot of other different things that happened to me. And I believe you're doing a lot for the Hispanic community, and I appreciate everything you do.
Thank you, sir.
Does staff have any questions?
Hi, Mark. No, you're fine. I just want to break your focus.
Okay. Mr. Parker, I understand from talking to Bob and Andy this last weekend, who monitor the hate crime calls, and I know that we've been talking about bullying, but I understand that the numbers of the calls, the reporting of the hate crimes is not extensive in the last 12 months. Is that accurate?
That's very accurate. We actually were together last night, and Bob, Andy, and myself had another meeting, and we were talking about that our numbers here in the Antelope Valley over an extended period of time have been quite low. As a matter of fact, I think Andy talked about there's been only one incident that he's working with the Sheriff's Department with right now. But our reports that we received have been very low.
Can you attribute that to anything?
Well, the little boy inside of me wanted to say, yes, we did a great job in this community. I just want to kind of brag on our community. The community, when you're making history, you don't know it until you look back. And so I think that living here in the community, the reason why I can continue to stay here is because we do that. Collectively, we come together to face adversity. And it may look unorthodox in the beginning, but I think ultimately all our goals are the same. So, you know, I would contribute on having more awareness, having more commissions, having more visibility. We're going to have our bumps in our road. I'm not talking about any specific incident. There will be bumps in the road, but I think in general that even with the bumps in the road, we have conversations where other places don't.
That's right.
Super. Thank you very much. Are you available to come and report to us again in the future?
Yes, ma'am. If we just get it on the, you know how we are. Whenever we can be here for you, we're very supportive. And
This
without a
is
doubt.
why God invented text messages.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.